Hey all, so I know this is coming out before my last war video of the season, but I wanted to get this out, you know, while it was still relevant. And we made masters, as you can see. I was saying through the first half of this season that our attack bonus was actually quite good, and then I thought that we had pretty much destroyed that edge when that one path got left up in War 10. Turns out we had built up enough of an advantage that even our 5-7 record was one of the better 5-7 records, and so we ended up 19th in Masters. We actually were originally 20th, but then the last alliance we faced in War 12 got docked, and so we moved up one. So I'm glad we beat them. That would have been very painful to miss because of that. Anyway, pulled all Mystic there because I had already decided I wanted to take up America Chavez for Battlegrounds this week as soon as I get the catalysts. And once I do that, Mystic will be the only class I don't have any of, so might as well start working towards it again. Pull a 5-star Mysterio here. It's not the Craven or Anti-Venom I keep saying I want for synergies, but whatever. A dupe is actually good for us here because it lets us open another feature. We're going to have 4 today. So we go ahead and open this. This is actually the basic that I got from the Sigil store because I got enough credits. I've had several people tell me not to do this. Clearly it worked out for me this time. I know that Kabam has said we're not going to get another Sigil champion for a while. Even if they're wrong, it's hard for me to imagine a new Sigil champion coming early enough and being so much better than Hood that I regret that. Like, I've been chasing Hood for a while now. I've said many times I think he's amazing. I only have a 5-star to go with my Kingpin. Really, really happy about that pull. Enough so that I'm actually considering delaying taking Chavez to rank 3 to take him up. I'm going to think about that. So really would have loved that Arcus. Or the rollover to Carnage, because my Carnage isn't duped at all. Because I really did not need to pull Longshot for the 6th time. His dupe does not scale very well. It's not that impactful. That's almost a wasted pull. I really wish that the way my luck seems to work in these feature crystals is, yet again, with this Mysterio, I just seem to get SIGs that I don't need on characters I've had forever, instead of pulling new ones, and it's honestly very frustrating. At least the SIGs scale better on Mysterio. He does become quite a bit stronger at high SIG, so that one hurts less than Longshot. Both of them are rank 3. Was hoping that would stop on Misty, but I'm not sad about this. I think Sauron is very solid in Battlegrounds, even without running the recoil tree. He's not the best character for general questing, but I really do think he's going to be relevant there, so he will be going to rank 3 at some point. I really wish that had stopped on Captain Britain. She's probably my top ask in this crystal, honestly, other than Ultron. Or maybe Toad, but yeah, I really would rather have had her than an awakening on Electro. I don't know. Here's hoping he gets rebuffed before too long, because obviously his first one was not good enough. So now hoping for a final saving grace from the Nexus. Maybe we can get Kitty or something. Nope. This is honestly one of the worst Nexus crystals I can remember in a long time. SIGs on Dragon Man were kind of tempting because he does get a little bit better against Cosmics, but it's just so minor. I was trying to figure out, which one am I more likely to use? Are we going to get a niche use for Jubilee, or do I want to have Kamala Khan in case she gets buffed for her show? Even a niche use for Jubilee probably requires high SIG, so I ended up going with Kamala. So before we wrap up this vid, I just want to talk about my loyalty use this season. As I've said a few times, I have been tracking it item by item throughout the season, and this is the final. So, as you can see, I haven't actually had to heal that much. Funnily enough, it's just worked out that whenever I lose a good chunk of health, or even one of the two times that I died, it's been right at the end of the map, and I just haven't needed to heal that character back up. Or it's been early on, but it's been the only fight or the last fight I'm taking with that character. And so I just haven't needed to heal. Now, part of this is my relatively low fight load this war. You see a lot of fives up there. It's really easy for that to happen if you're taking an average of 2 fights per champion on your 3-fight team, or on your 3-champion team, right? Because then, like, as long as you get through the first one, okay, if you lose some health in the second, you don't need to heal it up. Now, that also requires you to use all 3 champions on your team, which is something I've made a little bit of a theme out of this season. I actually fight with Magneto House of X, with Odin, with Mr. Fantastic. And so it is much easier for me to split up my fights among all 3 of my characters on my team for war, because I actually have them ranked and that I know that they can do things. If you're bringing in a 4-star House of X or a 5-star Odin for somebody else's pre-fights, this doesn't work as well for you. So shout out to those. Shout out for also using fight diversity and not just forcing everything with my biggest guns. Both of those have helped me here. But if I had been taking more fights, if I had been taking 8 fights a war, I think that my potion rates would have spiked pretty significantly, because there were several wars where I would have needed to heal people up. And on top of that, it's possible that the specific fights that I was taking, yes, they were great matchups, yes, they were otherwise hard fights, I needed to be taking them for the sake of our alliance, but that doesn't mean that there weren't other paths where people had to take more fights, or other paths where people had to just use basically one champion and heal them up each time. It's important to remember this is always a team sport. There are always 10 people in a battle group, and so just because I didn't have to heal much doesn't mean that I am like the model for a tier 1 player here. I just want to really make that clear, because I know that my potion usage is actually significantly below that of a lot of my peers. But then we move over to the itemized expenses. The important one here is just that I made a point to buy AQ tickets for Map 8 every week with loyalty. You don't have to. You can grind out gold, you can use units, you can buy the tickets directly for money. But when they released this ticket system, Kabam did tell us that the most efficient way to do it was to buy the tickets with all of the available resources. Because that includes loyalty, I am including that here because I think that they need to factor that into the loyalty economy. Because otherwise, I think they should adjust it and make it a little bit more efficient with gold or with battle chips. Seems fair to me. And then we come down here, we look at the boosts. Again, if I had taken significantly more fights, especially towards the end of the season, I probably would have used more boosts. Now, I tend to favor certain matchups, and the fights that my battle group needs me the most for are the ones where it's like, all right, Killmonger shuts that down, Nimrod shuts that down, Mr. Fantastic shuts that down. There's not much to worry about. And something I've talked about is that when you really master some of those matchups, you don't need the boosts. When I first started taking Power Stack with Mr. Fantastic, I used power back boosts, I used advanced power boosts, I used the special boosts almost every time. And as I mastered those fights, I dropped those off because I knew I didn't need them. But other options might, right? Similar with the Nimrod fights, I see a lot of people using Power Start and Power Back with Nimrod. I have the fights down that I'm taking such that I don't need that. But if you're less comfortable with that, if you're newer to those fights, or if you're just maybe not quite as strong with Nimrod as I am, or he's not as high as Sig, right? Any of those things could lead to you feeling correctly like you need those extra boosts, and that means more loyalty. So there, it's actually the strength of my roster, my rank 4 Mr. Fantastic, my Sig 200 Nimrod, those things are keeping my loyalty costs down. And so just keep that in mind when you see at the end here that my total season loyalty just barely crossed 1 million. Because a lot of my peers, even some who are barely taking more fights, used a good 50% more. This was a fairly affordable season for me, despite the fact that I died twice, which I'm not happy about. But I also only died twice, and I got hit very few times overall. When I had input issues, I was lucky in that I don't think, ever led to me getting wrecked. And sometimes I only got hit once or twice. And again, it was normally the last fight with that champion. So I think this season right here is very close to a best case scenario for loyalty. And the last time I did the math with Kabam's new numbers, this is close to what they're asking us to use. So I'm not saying that those numbers are horribly off, and I think that the updates to the team revives, where now they just cost 1 loyalty and bring you all the way up to 40, I think that's massive, because it means that to just finish the map doesn't really cost anything. What does cost loyalty is competing, is trying to solo every fight as consistently and safely as possible, which requires topping up your health, which requires more boosts. Those are the kinds of things that lead to higher costs than even this season, which, like I said, is about a best case scenario. So I don't know if it probably needs more tuning. It's definitely closer. We'll see what they do with that. I encourage anyone who has not been tracking their loyalty use to start doing so. Hopefully this feedback is helpful to them, and hopefully we can get a little bit more, because I don't think they're quite taking into account especially how much we need to boost. The power back boosts, the gray boosts, those I think are one of the really big drivers here. I think they probably have the potion economy in a decent spot by itself. So we'll see where it goes from here. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope your rewards opening went better than mine. And I will catch y'all soon with War 12 from Season 33, and probably some Eternity of Pain stuff soon. So, have a good one, everyone. Till next time, thanks for watching, and take care.